Welcome back to Cooking with Canines at Old Tavern Farm. The dogs are sleeping by the wood stove, and I thought it would be fun today because sometimes when people don't have things, or there's shortages, or there's a run on something and you can't get this, you can't get that, you just have to sort of punt. So that shaking you sing, it's the dogs moving. We're a real tech, high tech, high spec filming studio here. So when the dogs move, the floor shakes, and that's why the camera shakes. So keeping it real here at Old Tavern Farm, just saying. Anyway, I thought it would be fun to show you guys a nice, fun vintage recipe from the Rumford Complete Cookbook Revised. This recipe is called Scalloped Cheese. And back in the days of lots of war, the early 20th century was war pretty much from the start to the middle. And then it was Cold War after that. So home cooks and even restaurant cooks started to adapt to just using what they had. So this recipe is scalloped cheese right here. You can see that. It's on my website. And so if you want to get a little background on the blog, then you can do that too. But it's a super simple recipe. You guys are going to love it. It's yummy and cheesy and loaded with carbs and all that good stuff. So basically what we're going to do is I've got some leftover bread that I made for a party a couple weeks ago, and I just put in my freezer because I know I would use it at some point. And we're going to take, but you guys can use stale bread. Don't throw bread away. Don't throw bread away, please. Just don't throw anything away. I mean, you know, within reason. Fish bones, ugh, tuna cans, in the garbage. So I'm going to take this. You guys can use, if you don't make your own bread, you can use stale sandwich bread. You can use stale fresh French bread. You can use fresh French bread. You can use whatever you have. Hot dog buns that are like all freezer burned in the freezer and gross and looking horrible, they're still going to taste good. They might have a little off flavor if they have too much freezer burn, but if you want to, you can just cut that freezer burn part off. So what I'm doing here is I'm cutting this last piece of bread. I've already loaded my beautiful Pioneer Woman casserole dish with one layer. You're just going to layer cubed bread with cheese and then pour a sort of a custard milk over it and bake it. Super simple, but filling and delicious. So one layer. I'm just going to add a little bit more to this layer, actually. So just sprinkle in another layer. And this would be a great recipe for the kids, really, because it's simple and, you know, aside from the knife skills, and you can pull the bread apart if you want. You don't have to cut it. You can just shred it with your hands. Kids would love that. They love anything they can do with their hands. So after I've layered that first layer, I'm going to sprinkle a layer. This is shredded cheddar. I'm going to sprinkle a layer of shredded cheddar over that. Use whatever cheese you have. Use what cheese you like. If you like blue cheese, use blue cheese. That would be delicious. Smoked Gouda. Stick some ham in here, some bacon, and put Swiss on it. Adapt it to what you have and what you like. So that's the first layer. All right. And then I have also pre-cut some more of my bread. And I'm going to layer the bread over the top of that cheese and that first layer. Now the recipe says until the pan is 2/3 full, but this is a vintage recipe, and if anybody's looked at vintage recipes ever, they're not exactly super exact with times and temperatures, and they're just basically giving you the ingredients and a little bit of a method. So you just kind of have to figure it out on your own. So last little bit of bread. Scrape everything. Don't throw anything away. Because these little breadcrumbs, these will help thicken your sauce. Okay, so I'm going to, this is where we are right now. So I'm just going to take my shredded cheddar. This is the last of it. And I mean, not the last of it. Lord God have mercy. If I was out of cheese, I don't know what would happen. It would be bad. That's all I'm saying. Okay, I'm going to shred, gonna layer that. Okay, so this is where we're at. So I've got this dish, which is basically like a 8x8 square casserole dish. And I'm gonna just shift my book aside. I'm gonna set this aside. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna beat eggs into a bowl. And then we're gonna pour milk over it, which is basically just what we call a custard milk. Because custard, ice cream, any of that stuff, all it is eggs and milk and sugar, depending on whether it's a sweet or savory dish. I find that if I scramble my eggs first and then add my milk, does it body good? The eggs scramble more easily and it's more thoroughly mixed in. Okay, so I'm going to add my milk into my scrambled eggs, salt and pepper, mix that in. And then I'm going to pour that right directly over my dish of bread and cheese. And then I'm just going to take my, woo, boy, I just threw a whole bunch of milk all over the kitchen. My whisk, that's what this is called, a whisk. Oh, yeah. And that's it. That's all we do. And then we're going to stick it in the oven. So I'm going to go over here to my oven. In the oven. Now I do have one that I made just, slightly a few minutes before I did this one. So I'm going to get it out, and it's not quite cooked, but you can kind of get the idea where the bread is soaking up the custard milk and the cheese is melting. So okay, so it's looking very humble right now, but this, again, this is a bigger dish. So I wanted to have something to show you. But yeah, you can add more milk if it gets dry, whatever, it's still gonna be good. So I'm gonna put this back in the oven. And I'm going to, once again, thank you for being with me, and go use what you have. Layer it with meat, layer it with vegetables. You could have a bread and zucchini gratin or scalloped. Either way, it's a layering process. So go be happy, go be healthy. Virtual hug. Thank you for visiting. Bye-bye.